Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, and that's right. The Spider-Man marathon leading up to Spider-Man No Way Home has officially begun. So, and every day, and I've done this before, every day, you know, because my reviews of all the Spider-Man films will be out, leading up to the day that No Way Home is officially released. So, of course, that's right, you read the title of what, of course, the first Spider-Man film I'm reviewing. I've already reviewed the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man film. Go check it out. So now, finally, I'm reviewing Spider-Man 2. Everybody, from what I heard, everybody considers this one the best superhero comic book film. And you know what? I love it. I love Spider-Man 2. I think it's everybody's favorite of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. It's, you know, it's great. And with the cast, you know, of course, Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. Need I say, the return of most of the cast, you know. Tobey Maguire, as I said, Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane, James Franco as Harry Osborn, Rosemary Harris as Aunt May, Bruce Campbell making a random cameo in there, because, you know, he's Sam Raimi's Lucky Charm, Elizabeth Banks as Betty Brand, J.K. Simmons, Joanne Jameson, Stan Lee making another cameo in this, and a silent cameo, as he did in the first film. And others like, also Hoffman, played by Ted Raimi. Oh, I believe, yeah, Sam Raimi's brother, I want to assume. Let me see, yeah, and Mr. Dickovich, you know, played by Ella Baskin, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and Magina Tova as Ursula, Mr. Dickovich's daughter, and Mr. Dickovich, who's the landlord and where Peter lives. And, yeah, the opening to the film was pretty good, because Peter, not only does he work at the Daily Bugle, but also he's a pizza delivery guy. And, you know, everybody loves that line that Maguire says, "Pizza time." Of course, I have to mention that. And of the other characters, like, oh yeah, I forgot that Elizabeth Deschanel, if I said that last name right, she makes a cameo, and the one, I guess she's the one that ordered the pizzas, and you're late. I'm not paying for those because she's chewing gum. And we, of course, get Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius, or also known as Doc Ock, short for Dr. Octopus. And his wife, Rosie, played by Donna Murphy, who, you know, he loses his wife in an accident when he's testing out his machine. Not only his machine, but his robotic arms, in which apparently they take control of him because of the machine that he has built and, like, sucking in everything, you know. Yes, and also Dylan Baker and Daniel Gillis, if I'm saying his last name right, who's John Jameson, the son of Joanne Jameson, and who's marrying Mary Jane at one point in the film. Cliff Robertson, who makes a cameo as Ben Parker in a vision that Peter has. It had some great moments to it, and even at one point during most of the film where Peter, he steps down being Spider-Man because he lost everything from, you know, he kind of lost his best friend, you know, Harry Osborn, because after the events of the first film and throughout the film, like, Harry's seeking revenge on, well, Spider-Man, because he believes that Spider-Man killed his father, you know, Osborn, you know, Green Goblin, you know, and Peter not being there for Mary Jane because, you know, duty calls for him and as Spider-Man, yeah, and some pretty sad moments here and there, and especially, oh my gosh, that sequence where Dr. Octavius just loses control and he literally attacks. Well, he's still asleep, you know, unconscious, but the robotic arms, it's like a horror show. Like, they attack and kill the nurses and doctors in that surgery room, and it's just, wow. And this is when Dr. Octavius wakes up, he realizes that everything's gone wrong. And Yeah, and why do his robotic arms scream with him? I'm sure there's a reasoning, but I really can't. I don't know. I think I found out. I figured it out once, but now I can't remember. Anyways, but yeah, and the action and the visual effects were great. You know, as this and the third film were made, like the effects got better. Aside from how the effects were, when you look at the first Spider-Man movie today, yeah, you can kind of tell, but they're still okay. Like the fight sequences with Doc Ock and Spider-Man, and when Doc Ock has Aunt May, you know, has her hostage, you know, Butterfingers. And I like that part where, you know, Aunt May hits Doc Ock with her umbrella. Yeah, because she gets a whip of, you know, kicking Doc Ock's butt, you know. And it's funny because after she does that and kind of breaking his glasses, well, the arm that's holding her lets her go because after that. And that sequence where, well, you know, after Peter comes back as Spider-Man and when Doc Ock holds Mary Jane hostage, and because Harry, you know, will give Doc Ock the tritium, I want to say, for the machine he's reconstructing, you know, in an offer for, you know, capturing Spider-Man, bringing him to Harry, and that sequence with the subway, that was a pretty cool sequence. And those people in the subway, and that subway train, they're the best people in the film. Like, very warm and caring people, and they wouldn't give away his identity because, well, Peter does remove his mask at one point. His mask does come off of him at one point and totally exposing him. But you know what? Because the people on the subway, they see his face and they won't tell. So and when Doc Ock comes in and you know, the people stand up for Spider-Man. You want to get to him, you got to go through me and me and me. Very well. And of course, well, he does so with his arms. And there's another thing. The arms kind of well, you know, earlier in the film, Doc Ock was in control of the arms with an inhibitor chip on, you know, the back of his neck. But due to the malfunctioning of the machine and kind of zapped him, the arms took control of him. So there you go. What else? And the climax, the final battle, and Doc Ock being redeemed, and, you know, the speech that Peter gives to Doc Ock, and Doc Ock saying to his arms, you know, his robotic arms, "Listen to me now." And Peter saying, "We must destroy it, you know, it can't be stopped." And, you know, there's a way, and they find a way, sink it down the bottom of the ocean, and Doc Ock does it, you know. He's the one that built the machine, and he's the one that will destroy it himself. Makes perfect sense, you know. And that line that Doc Ock says, "I will not die a monster." Well, of course not, because he's redeemed. This time, he becomes a hero. I really feel that Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is an anti-hero. Because one thing is, because it's going to be really, because with Doc Ock, with Alfred Molina reprising the role of Doc Ock in Spider-Man No Way Home, I really feel, and from the looks of the trailers and clips, Doc Ock is gonna will be a good guy and be on work with Peter and Doctor Strange. So that's my guess. So I consider Alfred Molina's Doc Ock an anti-hero. So, and that's another thing with some of the villains in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, which, you know, I'll talk more about when my review of Spider-Man 3 comes out. Literally tomorrow. Anyways, so Doc Ock pretty much dies as he sinks down in as he drowns with the machine, and you see his robotic arms. The lights on them they shut off, and they're dead as well. And the epilogue, like, well, Mary Jane is apparently still to marry John Jameson, and did I forget to mention that John is an astronaut, and Mary Jane just totally ditches John and wants to be with Peter, and that's another thing, because I learned this about the Spider-Man films, the cock-tease romance between Mary Jane and Peter Parker. You know what I mean? Here's another thing. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that you know, Doc Ock brought Spider-Man to Harry, and Harry finds out that it's Peter Parker, and he just, you know, can't believe it, and he's shocked, and, you know, and after, you know, it's over, you know, Doc Ock's dead, and we cut back to Harry. He hears his father's voice, and he looks in the mirror, and there is Willem Dafoe, and it's like, I don't know, he's visioning it, or it's the ghost of his father, I don't know, and like, you know, saying, you know, avenge me, no, as he throws it at the mirror, and it turns out behind the mirror is actually the lair of Green Goblin. You know, we see the glider, the bombs, the mask of Green Goblin, and supposedly, because it teases that Harry is the next Green Goblin, and as we see in the third film. So the ending to it, as I said, like, it's really nice that, you know, because Mary Jane and Spider-Man, they're finally together, or should I say Peter Parker, you know, and, you know, Peter Parker, you know, duty calls for Peter, you know, as Spider-Man, and that one shot, the last shot, where we see Mary Jane just looking out at the window, the look on her face, like, I'm thinking what it is that she knows that, you know what, there's going to be times where it won't be safe, you know, and just be prepared, that kind of stuff. Well, even before she knew, she still was being captured and being held hostage, the damsels in distress. you get my point. But anyways, Spider-Man 2, I love it. It's great. And what about you guys? What do you think of Spider-Man 2? And what did you think of my review? Leave comments as always. Give this review a like. 10 out of 10, of course, for Spider-Man 2. And as I said at the beginning of this video, the Spider-Man review marathon leading up to Spider-Man No Way Home has begun officially. So look forward to every day my reviews of all the Spider-Man films leading up to when No Way Home comes out. Look forward to that. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Spider-Man not No Way Home, Spider-Man 2. Anyways, more reviews coming your way that are going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. Take care, peace out, and stay tuned tomorrow for my review of Spider-Man 3.